you've got some great philosophies. You want to live life debt free, which is very anti real estate investor philosophy. A lot of people teach leverage, leverage, leverage. As soon as you have equity, refinance, take that out, go buy more, go buy more. And people build these giant portfolios, highly leveraged, massive debt, and that's a little scary. And I don't really subscribe to that model. There's something about that peace of mind when you own something. And maybe your portfolio is a lot smaller, but I'm sure yours cash flows really well because you're not juicing out all the equity out of it every time you have that. So tell me about that a little bit. Why is that? How does that fit with your life philosophy?
So I first subscribed to the idea of using leverage, and it was promoted to me, and it was a great idea. And admittedly, I used it to acquire a whole lot in a short period of time. And as I was acquiring and building out this portfolio, I was losing peace.
Yeah,
it was affecting. I couldn't sleep. It was affecting my health. It was affecting my marriage. Prior to having all that debt, I was very generous. I mean, I would just, if somebody had a need, I would write checks. But now I owed the lender. And when somebody asked me, "Hey, can you help with this?" I was like, I almost started getting angry.
Yeah.
Like, stop asking me for money. I got bills too. And when I didn't have bills, that wasn't a problem. But so it was something that I was just really praying about and just felt a conviction. And reading scripture, I mean, I started coming across scripture that just said, I just felt an extreme conviction. I should not be doing this.
Be a slave to the master.
Yeah. I was a slave to the lender. You cannot serve two masters. You can't serve both God and money. And when I realized what was keeping me up at night, it was a master other than God. And it made me want to keep doing more. I kept feeling like I need to do more. I need to do bigger. And that having to do more, having to do bigger was only driving me deeper into debt. But I find it ironic these days that people think that the path to getting out of debt is to increase their capacity to borrow and to keep on borrowing more, and eventually they'll be able to get out of it. And I came to realize, well, no, if I'm going to get out of this, I have to stop. I just got to stop. And so, it was a journey. I had $4.5 million in debt at the time, and this goes back to 2006. And it took me about 4 years to retire all of that. And it wasn't just that I made $4.5 million to pay it off. I was in liquidation mode, and just anything,
selling.
Whatever I had to do to get rid of the debt. My goal was to get to zero and buy my life back. And we've just been free ever since.
And now, fast forward, tell me how it works now. So you have assets that you obviously rent and keep. You've got some where you came from, Wisconsin, some here in Tennessee and wherever. But is it flip houses, make the active income, use the active income to then buy the assets? Is that the philosophy?
For the most part, yeah. And so, right now, that people call my portfolio boring but beautiful. It's small. It's not sexy.
Nothing anybody will get excited about or care about.
One of my philosophies is to try to buy nice homes in the best school district, buying the cheapest homes in the best school districts.
Because those will always go up in value.
And they'll always be in demand. And I don't even get too worried about whether or not my homes are going up in value. I just worry about the cash flow. And, so the goal is whenever we do have enough cash, we just buy another property free and clear. And just add one more to the portfolio. And so I always look at it as, if we add one more every year, we just gave ourselves a raise that year.
It's just slow and steady and a very, very methodical plan, but you've been consistent with it and it's working. I mean, we're right now at a little mobile home park you built, and there are, 7 units there?
Yeah.
And you had told me before we turned the camera on, you said, if it came down to it and my wife and I just had to live a comfortable life, this one park would do that for us. And think about that. I mean, most people can't say that. Most people, especially real estate. I mean, I know people with 100 doors or more, and they got to do other stuff just to meet the demands of that of the debt service. Because you know how it is. 1 month something goes wrong and you don't have cash flow on that one unit, but the bills are still due on the loans. That can really have an impact. It can change things quite drastically. So, it's an interesting philosophy. It isn't taught much. It isn't followed much. It isn't kind of the way to do it in real estate from most people, but it really resonates with me a lot too. I really like that. that idea.
Yeah, I've had people tell me I was crazy. I've had people, when I started to go down this path, they said I was going under.
Yeah.
It was, but it's different.
Yeah.
It is definitely different. Admittedly, it's a lot easier. If I wanted to buy 10 houses in the next year, I could, with loans, I could buy 50 of them
Right.
easily. But, if you're going to pay cash for them or be creative and figure out how to come up with the cash for them, it is definitely a slower go. But here's the deal. I mean, this one little house right here will give me as much cash flow as somebody who's got 10 leveraged houses.
On the whole thing. Yeah.
Just the one house.
Yeah.
Will give me
Hey,
as
do you
much.
guys catch that? I mean, that's a really good point. Let's say somebody, racked this little 7-unit mobile home park on debt. Combined, that would probably cash flow what you're getting on one of these debt free.
I don't know that they would make it with just this. So
yeah.
Someone's 10 house portfolio that is leveraged will make them as much, if they make as much as I make off of this one house.
One little house with no debt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think about it like this. I learned this philosophy flipping. So when I first started flipping, Steve, they were entry-level homes. I'd buy them for like 75, put 25 in, all in at 100. I'd sell them for 140, 150. I'd net 30 on a house, right? And I got really good at it. This is Detroit, Metro Detroit. And, I was doing like 80 a year, but they were all cookie cutter. It was kind of the same process, same cabinets and paint and everything. And then I did this deal that was almost a $400,000 house. Same thing. I still had to buy it, come up with the money. I still had to have contractors, still do all the same thing. A little bit more capital was all, maybe a little nicer appliance package, but basically the same thing, just nicer neighborhood. And I made $75,000. And I had this light bulb moment where I said to myself, same time, energy, and effort, but 3 times the money. What am I doing? The following year, I did, I think, 10 or 12 flips, higher price points, and made more money than when I did 80. And so what you're saying here is really like margin over volume, right? Better to own 100%. A few free and clear than a ton leveraged with debt. Life is easier. You got less to manage, no stress.
So you've seen, like you brought up 2004, you came to one of my events. I've been coaching now for more than 2 decades. So it's almost 25 years that I have officially been coaching people. And I can tell you beyond the shadow of a doubt, the guy who's the slow and steady, the 5 to 10 good deal a year guy outpaces the 100 deal a year guy every day of the week.
Yeah.
I've had the 100 deal a year guys sitting in my office crying. I've been in their office while they're crying, them trying to figure out what to do, how to make ends meet, how to make things work. And
too much, too big, too much overhead, lose control of things.
100%.
It's just
their margins are so much smaller. They make less money than the person who does 8 good deals a year.
Yeah.